My next guest is going to be fighting bantamweight champion Petr Yan at UFC 259 on March 6th. Of course, I'm talking about the Funk Master himself, Aljamain Sterling, here on the program. Aljo, how's it going, man?
Doing well. Just got a great start to the day with some good training, and now I'm in the kitchen chefing it up. I'm just a jack of all trades, you know?
You are. You're very and good with the video content, too. That clip you posted on social media last week where you're looking out the window. Where do you come up with that stuff, man? Is that just on the fly, or do you have someone writing your material is what I'm getting at?
It's just kind of on the fly.
Good.
And if I see anything that gave me inspiration, actually, my friend that's probably where I got it from. My friend actually did something like that, but then he started singing with like this voiceover app, and then I just did that. It's like time to take over the world, something silly, just silly stuff.
No, it's good. I think that's good. It's a good way to connect with fans, and it's nice to see. I mean, in this day and age, we need a good laugh, right? So there's a lot going on in the world. But let's talk about this fight. So glad to see this get booked again. You guys were supposed to fight in December. Of course, Yan had to pull out due to what I'm seeing was personal reasons. Were you ever given a reason as to why that fight didn't take place back in December? I'm curious because I was trying to kind of piece the timeline together, and I still don't know exactly what happened.
Exactly. That's exactly where I am too. There's no real reasoning to what happened. First, we were told he was injured. Then next, this guy's posting videos of him working out. I'm like, okay, that's clearly not what it is. And then I hear that there's personal issues. I heard maybe his newborn son had COVID or something like that. That wasn't what the situation was, at least from what I've heard. And then the other one was the visa issue, which he posted a video of him being cleared for his visa. So then I'm like, in my head, there's only a couple of things. Maybe, I'm not trying to point any fingers, but maybe there's a little cycling thing going on over there, and then he missed the time slot. I think that's how that stuff works, to get off and be cleared in time, or maybe he didn't feel like he had adequate enough training for this particular fight style and matchup. So all things aren't good. So it's like, you sign a dotted line, you show up to the date. If you're not hurt, you didn't get injured, you're not getting surgery, show up to the fight, man. Like, this is what the fans wanted. I've been wanting this. He supposedly has been wanting this. I got trained for him with what I got. He's got trained for me with what he has. And to pull out the fight is kind of, I don't even know what to call it. It's just kind of, and before I gave him the benefit of the doubt, now I just think it's kind of weak. But whatever. We're going to fight, and we're going to eventually figure it out.
Were you worried this might not happen? You never know with fights. I mean, he had a situation last year where he was supposed to fight Marlon Moraes. That fight never even ended up happening, with stuff. I know that was a bit of a different situation, but did that cross your mind at all that maybe I'm getting screwed out of this thing?
Yeah, but, I try to keep it positive.
Keep it positive. Yeah, no, of course. No, I like the positivity.
Existence, yeah, because I know TJ had just came back, and I was like, there's no way this little weasel's going to come take my spot. There's just no way. I'll go to his house and go fight him, and we'll fight to figure out who's fighting him. Like, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. But yeah.
What did you think of TJ's comments? I know he's got to sort of play that role up a little bit, but him saying he never lost the belt and that he should get a title shot when he comes back. Like, did you catch any of some of the interviews he did sort of leading up to his return?
Yeah, a little bit, and I think it's kind of laughable. I mean, the guy's been cheating almost his entire UFC career, and if he thinks that warrants an immediate title shot, I guess in terms of what he's done, but he's also done it cheating this whole time. So they finally were able to catch him, and it makes you wonder, like, when do they decide to do like EPO testing and stuff like that? Because there are more difficult stuff to test for, more expensive, and it's kind of at their leisure to kind of decide when they want to test for stuff like that. TJ's a tough opponent. He's built a big name. He's made a ton of money. If anyone ever cheated in the sport and made it off to the bank and ran off laughing, it's that guy. He's the perfect example of what cheating can accomplish you. But how many guys have done that and actually gotten himself nothing even close to that, a fraction of what he's made in terms of financial investments and buying houses, starting your own company, buying a boat. Like, no one gets that lucky. He's gotten lucky enough, kudos to him. But reality's going to slap him in the face when he gets back into that octagon 100%.
Do you think he believes all that he should be the champion and that he should, get these opportunities and that he, wasn't cheating and stuff? Or do you think that's part of the character? Because he's kind of embraced this whole snake thing, right? That was even before this all happened with him, leaving Team Alpha Male.
I think he's got to kind of make himself feel comfortable so that he can sleep at night by telling himself stuff that's going to make him feel better. And if that's what he's got to do to get up in the morning to get to work, I guess so. But I know if he fights a guy like me, mental warfare is going to be a motherfucker because I'm going to be attacking that guy and making him come to terms with reality and what it is. Like, dude, your whole career is tainted. Like, no matter what you want to say, your whole career is tainted. Your old teammates have already ratted you out for what you've been doing for years at this point. So if you feel like you're that accomplished, apparently you had a little bit of self-doubt and not enough belief in yourself and your skill set to need to cheat. So if you're feeling confident, I think Henry would have smashed him at 35. So in my eyes, you got crushed at 25, you were going to get crushed at 35 as well. It was just a matter of time. You needed all that stuff to perform. A lot of us are doing it clean these days, So I still think there's a good amount of people that are out there cheating, but I think a lot more of us are starting to compete clean.
Let's talk about the guy you're actually fighting, Petr Yan. We did have to bring up Dillashaw. Obviously, he's in the news. But style-wise, how do you look at this fight? How do you feel like you match up against him? I
think I match up with Petr pretty well. I think he's not doing anything new in terms of striking. He's got a couple of tricky things that he does that I'm making sure my guys emulate in training, in our drills, and, of course, in sparring. And I don't think it's anything that I'm not going to be able to pick up on. He's going to have to bring something new to the table to really catch me off guard. And I think that's the difference for him, where if he opens up too much with his striking, which he leans forward, falls over sometimes, it's going to open up some prime opportunities for me to attack, getting on his legs, slow him down, wear him out. And if I got to make it a dirty fight, I'll make it a dirty fight. I'm not looking to hump him for 25 minutes. I'm looking to maul him and get him out of there.
How much do you factor in level of competition? Because I think if you look at the two, you've been in the UFC a lot longer. You fought really, really tough guys. Like, that's sort of been the knock on him, right? Other than Aldo, you could maybe say Faber, but even then, Faber came out of retirement it was just a second fight out. How much do you think that plays into it? Because you've had a really strong resume in the UFC.
I think it plays a good amount. I think he knows I'm battle tested. I've been through the ups and downs. I've been tied one round apiece going into the third and have to dig deep to win that last round and make sure it's convincing. And leave a stamp on it to, make sure they remember that I won that fight, kind of thing. And I don't think he's ever really had that. The one fight that sticks out to me was the Jimmy Rivera. He got outstruck the entire fight outside the last 30 and 20 seconds of the first and second round, which is kind of crazy because then he broke Rivera's nose, which it looked like he plastered his nose on his other side of his face with one of those kicks. And then the third round, he gets outstruck by Rivera, which is it's kind of weird. So you can't do MMA math, but I had a clean sweep against Rivera, and in terms of competition, I think I fought tougher guys. I will say Aldo was his toughest test. I think you see what Aldo did to Chito Vera this recently. You see that he still got it. He can still swing those things, and he bangs, So I think that was his toughest test, but they trained together. So I think there was a little bit of a respect factor. You got to factor that in. I think also them training together, Aldo laying on his back and kind of hanging out with his hand behind his head, he probably thought that he could have relaxed down there, and Yan crushed him to the body, and I think that was the changing of the tide of the fight. So there's a couple of things. I'm not saying I can't take anything away from Yan's performance. He did what he had to do. He looked great, but there's just a couple of little things that could have been different in hindsight. But
let's talk about training. I know you're back at Serra Longo because I know you were at Extreme Couture for a bit. What's sort of the plan for this camp? Is it a split, or are you just going to stay at Longo's? Like, what's the plan for this fight?
Yeah, I split before, and then I was going to finish up in Vegas. They were going to meet me out in Vegas, and then the same thing. Now I'm just starting here again, and then I should be heading out the day after the Poirier-McGregor fight, or maybe the week after that. I'm still undecided. I have my flight already booked, but I might stay an extra week just to get a little bit more work, depending on how good the training is and everything. I feel good, and that's really it. Now that I'm cooking, it's kind of nice. My weight's actually coming down a lot faster compared to when I'm not cooking. I'm just ordering out all the time, trying to make meals that way. But when I'm in the PI, it's just super easy. So the weight just slides off compared to just ordering food and having to pick and choose. It's just a lot more mental work. When I'm in Vegas, everything, the dummy work is taken out of it. I don't got to make my own strength and conditioning workouts. I don't have to worry about PT work because they take care of it for me in meals, and it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I know you got to train a bit with Matt Frevola, I should say, because I just interviewed him last week. I know you guys got some work in Vegas. Who else have you been getting a chance to work with as far as bodies in the gym?
Along goes and working with my guy Anthony Delemy. He's an amateur still, looking to go pro his next fight, but he's a hammer. Ali Abdelaziz got to watch him spar with me down in Vegas because I brought him out for that, and he didn't know who he was, and he was shocked. He was like, dude, who is that guy? You know, he's a very high level striker. And I was like, yeah, this guy's a hammer. He just doesn't know it yet. And so I think now he's a lot more confident because he got to see other people training and he got to test himself. And now he's in the mindset like, dude, I can do the same thing as these guys. You know, sometimes you just need that mental switch where you can see it for yourself in order to think that it's attainable for yourself. So he's hit a new stride. We got some good sparring rounds in last night, and I should be getting some rounds in with Marab tomorrow. And then in Vegas, I got Kai Camacha, Dan Ige. He's a great drill partner and good sparring partner because he's not looking to kill you. And he hits hard when he wants to hit hard. And he's got good wrestling, and he pushes the pace, and he's good at mimicking for you. So it's not like an ego thing. That's the main thing, man. Like, I'm big on sparring, but at the same time, I think it should be sparring with a purpose, not just going in there and sparring. It's got to be you're working on something specifically. Your partner's giving you a certain look so that you can get the most out of your training, and it's not just going in whatever happens. I mean, I guess you can – it's kind of like a fight, but you should have some type of strategy, and if that doesn't work, you got a plan B, plan C. And if that all fails, throw everything out the window, bite down your mouthpiece, and you just start swinging them things.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was going to ask you because he's also at Extreme a bit. Have you got to work with Cody Stamen at all? Because you guys obviously fought, and I know, and he thinks very highly of you. I know when I interviewed him, he was like, you know, Alja's the best bantamweight in the world. That was a pretty dominant win you had against him.
Yeah, we got some training in, and then we had to stop because he ended up having a matchup booked with my guy Marab.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Sucked. So it was good training with him, getting good drills in, because he's another guy who's very controlled and he's not looking to hurt you in training. I wasn't sure what to expect from him because we did fight, and you always got to kind of keep your guard up just in case they just try to get you. But he's been very respectful. I've been respectful of him. We sparred one time, and then I remember him saying I got on his back, and he said, "Not again." That was actually pretty funny. But,
cool.
Yeah, we got some good work in, and then we had to stop again because the fight got booked again, and now the fight's canceled again. So now I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do at this point. But he's a good training partner, you know, to have, you know, so to be able to utilize everyone down there is going to be great. You know, if they need me, I'm there. If I need them, they're there as well.
How do you see this fight playing out on March 6th?
I haven't really visualized it as much as I did the Sandhagen fight. Maybe it's because it's so far away, and then the fight got canceled. But there's just so many different ways this fight can go. It could get ugly. It could turn into a drag 'em out fight where we're both just testing each other, and it could be a classic Poirier versus Hooker fight, which I'm not gunning for. But it could be another fight like a Sandhagen. It could be a fight like the Stamen fight, or it could be a fight like with the Rivera fight. You know, I slow him down early with the takedowns. I can't get him down. If he's done that enough work where I can't get him down, I can outstrike him. And the third of the takedown is always going to be there to keep him honest. And I think I have more ways to win, where for him he needs to put me out or TKO or something like that. But I think my awareness is what's going to be the deciding factor. So as long as my condition is on point, that's the main thing we're focused on, and make sure my abs are ready, because I know he's going to be looking for those body shots, and I'm going to be looking to return them as well. So same thing I told Corey Sandhagen. Now I keep mixing up all their names. If you want to play the body shot game, we can play the body shot game. You know, I just got to make sure I do my work now, and then when we step in there, you'll be shocked because I do some serious ab work, you know, so when I know I got a fight like that, I got to make sure my core work is going to be on point. So this way I'm at ease whenever guys are throwing any of those big monster body strikes.
We talked about TJ Dillashaw earlier. Do you think he's going to get the winner of your fight, or do you think he should have to fight someone else? If you were the matchmaker, what would you do?
If I'm the matchmaker, he's got to fight somebody. He's been out for 2 years. There's been too much that has happened. And he got beat the last time he was out there. So in my opinion, he should have to fight somebody. But he could. You know, the UFC is just about dollars these days, so if they think he's going to draw, even though people know he's a scumbag, they still will tune in to watch him. So,
do you think Aldo's the fight for him, or do you think there's someone else, maybe Rob Font? I don't know. Is there a fighter in there that you think would make a good return fight for him?
Ooh, Rob Font or Aldo would be fun. I think, because I don't think TJ would straight up box with Rob Font. He's got too much length on him. That would just be stupid. He hits hard. He's got some big hands, you know, like he's actually got some big clubs. So that wouldn't be smart. But the Aldo fight, that could be intriguing in terms of two older guys that have been around for a while, even though they're not old, but they've been around for the game for a while, very familiar names. I think that's a big fight to make. Former champion versus former champion. I think that's a huge matchup. And then whoever wins could be right there next in line again, especially depending what happens with my fight with Yan, especially me after when I dethrone Yan.
Were you surprised to see Font finish Moraes as quickly as he did?
Not really, honestly. No, I hate to. I'm not trying to kick a man when he's down, but I've always said Moraes is human. He had 3 fights where lightning struck at the perfect time for him, where he got guys out under 2 minutes in each round, which is unreal, unheard of. You never hear of anybody taking out guys within the top 5 or top 10 like that, back to back to back. And that was impressive. But his fights before that, his fights at World Series of Fighting, if you look back at those performances, they were all pretty normal performances in terms of he's good, he can fight, but nothing stands out other than his explosive power and then his gas tank. And then the other thing was he's gotten finished a couple of times, TKO'd a couple of times. And I think that goes to show, when the tough gets going, you watch some of those fights on YouTube, when he gets hammered, he doesn't like it and he tends to fold. It's either that or he just can't take a shot. So you factor that in and you do your homework, you know what you're getting when you look at Marlon Moraes. Marlon went immediately for the takedown. We knew why he did that. And for him to go and do that, and as soon as he got up, because actually as soon as Rafon escaped and got up, he shook his arms out right away. And that was a big tell that this guy's tired. And from there, Rob just put it on him. And he threw a spinning wheel kick, and then from there, got touched up again. The uppercut sat him down, and that was pretty much it. And I don't think he gave himself enough time to recover from the last fight. And sparring. When he knocked me out, I didn't do any sparring until maybe when I fought Brett Johns, maybe 3 weeks before the fight, and I sparred maybe once a week, and it was just strictly wrestling. Touch gloves, I'm circling, I throw a hard jab, you throw something, I slip underneath, and I'm taking you down and I'm wrestling you the whole time. I didn't give a shit. I just need to be in shape, just know I could wrestle, and I would just do all my cardio on the pads and everything else, and what we call the puke drill. So I gave myself the adequate time from December to April, literally taking no strikes to the head, and the only strikes I took were in that fight, which was almost little to none.
Switching gears, I don't know if you saw Nate Diaz got taken out of the rankings, but Dana White's now saying that he's going to have a fight at lightweight against a contender. We don't know who. I think it might be Oliveira. We'll see. What do you think of that? Do you think that was the right move? Do you think if you've been inactive, you should be out of the rankings? Or do you think a guy like him who's big name should stay in the rankings?
I mean, does it even matter if he's in the rankings? I mean, he could come back and jump in whenever time he wants. So it's yes, but no. It doesn't really – it kind of seems like it doesn't even matter. Especially if you're able to jump in and fight an Oliveira who should be fighting for the title next.
I agree. 100% he should be fighting for the title.
It's criminal if they don't, because what's he going to do? Take another high-risk fight, potentially lose?
Did you see they offered him Chandler before Dan Hooker got the fight? Which is crazy. It's how come he's fighting Chandler who doesn't even have a UFC fight? This guy should be – he dominated Tony Ferguson. He should get the title shot. So
Agreed.
It's crazy.
I don't know what they're doing with that. But it's a shark tank of a division, so I get it. It's so cluttered at the top, but they're pushing Conor so hard that it makes it tough to make other matchups. So when you have that, that's what causes the chaos when guys are on 7-8 fight win streaks and they can't get a shot at the belt.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I did see. I don't know if this ever ended up happening. Did you ever take that wrestling fight against Young? What happened with that?
I tossed his ass to his back.
Okay, so it did happen, because I didn't see a lot of press on that. I wasn't sure if it actually took place. So.
Well, he won. He ended up beating me, what was it, 6-4?
Yeah.
He won by 2 he pretty much got takedown, and then the rest were all push-out points. It was kind of yeah. Actually, he got 2 takedowns. I think he got 2 takedowns. I gave a takedown in the first. 2 takedowns and then 4 push-outs. He won via exhaustion. I scored the most points in terms of I hit the biggest move in the match, and if it went to a draw, I would have won based on criteria, because I hit a 4-point move. He had two 2-point moves. And that's just really because I hurt my neck getting ready for the Yan fight. And this is what it pissed me off, because, I was dealing with some stuff going into that fight 3 weeks out, and then this guy pulls out. I'm like, dude, you don't know what's going on with me. I don't know what's going on with you. We both got to pretend, keep the poker face, and say we're 100%. And I'm over here dealing with severe neck herniations with the disc, and I'm still willing to make that walk. And then I pretty much did no wrestling for that matchup with RBY. Not to take anything from it, but I do think that if we were to do it again, that's a very winnable match for me. Just because of the size, they would probably make me cut down a little bit more weight, which would tilt the favor more in his hands. But I think if I actually got to train for that, to get ready for 2-3 minute rounds of wrestling, I was doing 1 minute rounds, 2 minute rounds, but it wasn't enough, and I was only doing 3 or 4. So that's not much.
Do you think you'll take any fights in the future, or do you think that'll change if you become champion?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's fun. It's a crossover. If it wasn't for wrestling, I wouldn't even be doing this, So to get back and to lace up my shoes, which was very surreal, and then to get to talk to Cael Sanderson, the man, the myth, the legend, in person, and having him tell me, yo, you can still move. I was like, yo, that's pretty sick. So that made me feel good just hearing that from him. I was like, yeah, man, I wanted to go to Penn State. I didn't have the grades. But yeah.
Interesting. And what about boxing? I mean, everyone wants to fight these YouTubers. Jake Paul's calling out Ben Askren. Are you going to throw your name in that hat as well? It seems like the money's good, right?
Yeah, I'm going to box. I do think it's going to happen eventually, but I'm not boxing Jake or Logan Paul. Those guys are huge. I know Yuta was calling them out. Like, yeah, you can say all that, but physics is physics. Like, biomechanically, if the guy hits you with a punch, his body weight times force and acceleration, he's going to hurt you. He has to hit him, of course, but, I mean, over the course of 8 rounds, 6 rounds, whatever it is, I'm pretty sure he's going to connect a couple of times, and that's a lot more brain trauma from one punch from that guy versus a guy my size and my weight.
Yeah, good point. And are you a boxing fan? Like, do you tune into, like, all the big fights, or do you keep tabs on what's going on over there?
The big fights. It's hard. It's just hard to keep up with, especially with MMA. It's hard to keep up with all, like, the boxing has so many different promotions. I don't know who's champ of this, and it's like,
it's tough. Yeah, that's why.
And make it easy. But yeah, I know the big names like the Garcias, the Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, Errol Spence, like those guys, like the big names.
Would you, and you said you'd want to take a boxing fight. Is that something, like, I guess you'd have to talk with the UFC, because, like, with Conor, I know it was kind of his own thing, but has there been any serious talks with your management about doing that?
Well, I put it on Twitter that I wanted to box. People thought I was joking. And then when I put it on Twitter that I was going to take a wrestling match, people thought I was joking and took the wrestling match. Just the boxing match never actually came to fruition. And then this fight got rebooked so soon. So I kind of can't do both now. So I got to wait till the fight's over, and then hopefully I can do it in between or something like that. And I'm not looking to fight like the biggest hammer. I want to fight someone comparable to my skill and really test myself, not just jump in there with the Shark Tank just because. And if I can win a fight, then maybe we call out like a Teofimo or something like that.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Cool. All right. Last question in this interview, most important one. How nervous were you doing the proposal? Congratulations, by the way. I know you're getting you got engaged. Tell me how that all came together. Were you nervous? More nervous for fights? How did you feel doing it?
So I actually left the ring in Vegas, which was crazy. So that was a story in itself. Figuring out who I can trust to mail it to me, overnight it, get the insurance, signature only, because I'm not having no other way of getting. I'm not having it dropped off at my house. That's just crazy. And then found somebody, the guy who actually sold me my house, Jason Griggs. He's a realtor down there. He's actually from Long Island too, so we got some Long Island history. And he sent it to me. I was trying to pick out the dates. My whole house pretty much got COVID. So I was worried about this fight too, because I'm like, I don't know how this is going to affect me, because I was training down in Vegas, never got it. I was rolling with people who had it, never got it. Somehow slept with my girlfriend, never got it. And now I get it. My 2 roommates get it. And then next thing you know, we rolled, and then I got it. I mean, I didn't care. I was like, I got to get ready for a fight. Like, I'm fighting. So if I get it, thankfully, no crazy symptoms, nothing. I was able to train through the whole thing for the most part. And I tested negative 7 days later. So I don't know if that's the fastest turnover, but whatever. So then everything was closed. I didn't know if I can go get my hair braided, because my sister was like, well, you're sick. I'm like, well, I'm not sick, but I understand what you mean. So I couldn't get my hair braided, so I thought maybe we should push it back, because our anniversary was actually on the 1st of January. So I wanted to keep everything the same, and I didn't know she knew, but I felt like she knew. And then everything was fine. I'm playing smooth. I'm cool. We go to the nice steakhouse. I think I'm like, yo, I got this in the bag. This is going to be easy. I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom. I finish my plate. She's almost done, so I go to the bathroom. I'm like, hey, let me just go wash my hands real quick before we get dessert. And then I go to the bathroom, come out, talk to one of the hosts, like, hey, I need somebody to take a picture. Could someone video something for me? And they're like, yes, absolutely. I know exactly what you want. I was like, you know what I'm about to do? She's like, yes, I know. I live for this moment. It was the funniest thing. She was like, I live for this. So I let her do it, and then we figured out a sign, and my sign was like, I'm going to stretch and then rub the back of my head to start rolling the camera. So she comes out with the camera, before I get up. And then I'm like rushing to get up. I'm going into my pocket. And then as she comes out, Rebecca looks at her with the camera and then looks back at me. And then she realized what's going on. I think it caught her off. And then that's when I started getting nervous. And then I was like, oh, man, this is happening. This is happening right now. And then, yeah, I said a couple of words. And then I asked her.
And here we are. Congrats, man. When's the date? When are you guys setting things up? Do you have a date book yet or no?
Well, she's in nursing school. She doesn't finish till next year, April, late April. So right now we're just kind of waiting for that to be finished up or close to finishing up before we get any serious stuff going. We just did engagement photos, but everything else, it's just a lot to plan out, especially with the fight. Her finishing school, she's got 7 classes just this semester alone, which is insane. So we're not really, the more important things are first. Like that's always going to be there.
Aljo, thanks so much for doing this, man. Really looking forward to this fight. UFC 259, March 6th, bantamweight title on the line. Anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media you want to plug? I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, you guys can just check out my podcast, The Weekly Scraps, on YouTube and all streaming platforms. And I want to thank my sponsors, Sleepy Bear and Hydrocana, and Everlast, of course, because they always take care of me. And my management teams, Vayner Sports, and of course my man Oren over at KO Reps. He helps me out a ton too. So big thank you to those guys and my team.